Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? We are live, and we are going to talk about UFL football right now. Uh, just give me a second. We're gonna invite in a few moments. We are gonna invite our guests. But everybody doing? How's everybody doing today? All right, so far. Oh, hey, how you doing? How you doing today, Green Monkey? How you doing? It's been a good minute. Um, but anyways, you know what? We're gonna get started. My first guest will show up in a couple minutes, but anyways, overall, we're finally here. We're finally in UFL week one of the UFL season. Uh, for everyone new to the UFL, if you want to know, during this past off season, we have the XFL and USFL have merged into one league, and we're finally going to get to see how these games are going to merge. Starting with our first game, we have the Stallions against the Arlington Renegades, the XFL champs versus the two-time USFL champs, and then and then we have other game. Oh, well, I guess we got a sign notification right now. But anyways, then we also gonna have the Memphis Showboats taking on the Houston Roughnecks this weekend, and then our third game we're also gonna have. Yep, ready for some football again. You said it. Then we're gonna have the St. Louis Battlehawks going against the Michigan Panthers. That one's gonna be. I feel like that one's gonna be a pretty interesting game. See how that one goes. And then we have our first guest here, but in our final game, we're gonna have the DC Defenders take on the Memphis Showboats. But all right, let's bring in our first guest here. Um, his TikTok goes by Lightning Junior. So let me present you again, Lightning Junior, for your first guest of the uh on stage. Here we go.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome to
Awesome.
first guest here.
Hello, hello, hello. Great to be
Hello.
here.
Hello. All right, welcome. This is the first time first time here. This is well, I guess first time doing this. But we're finally here once again for the UFL season. How excited are you today?
Oh, I'm very excited. You cannot have a better day. You cannot have a better weekend of having these packed games. Like starting off the season with both league champions. Like, come on, it cannot get any better than that.
Hey, the schedule makers knew what they're doing. They knew this had to be at least game one. There's other games they could have done, but I feel like this was the best way to kick it off.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I agree with you.
Yeah. But uh, any if anyone's listening, you want to tell the fans a little bit about yourself. What fan are your team, and what's your expectations of this season going in?
Uh, well, for spring league football, I'm a Defender fan. That's why I have the beer snake next to the name. We have to
Uh
behold the best tradition of spring league
y-
football. 100%. You cannot prove me otherwise.
I agree, but there's probably some Battlehawks fans might disagree with it just because division rivals. But hey, the beer snake section is a very fun section. I've not been to it, but based on how it looks like, it looks like a fun thing to do at at Audi Field.
Oh yeah, yeah. I went to the last year in the XFL season. It was week 9. I went to Audi Field for as a birthday gift. against the Renegades, and I was at the section, and to my right was like people were actually standing. They were holding like beer cups. I was like, how did people just manage to do that and hold the cups for like several hours?
And not only that, like I wonder who starts the trend, right? Because like any fan can do it. So is it just like they wait till everyone's beer is done, you just see enough cups, or I wonder how that one goes. Just I really want to know who's the fan that starts who sets off the motion whenever they're in that section.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other times I've seen like people doing the beer snake was like baseball with the Chicago Cub fans.
I've seen videos online and it does look like a fun thing, but also I feel like it's just like a daunting task because you're like, especially maybe you're in that center where you're like, okay, you have to hold down the cups as much as you can, or else if one wrong move, boom, that's the end.
Yeah, exactly. It's like not only holding it when your arm's gonna get tired or your like shoulder's gonna get tired, but also you're standing at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, but let's just see how it goes. But hello Max, how you doing here? Yes, how you doing? How you doing today, man? Can't wait to see you tomorrow on the Patreon Zoom. But yeah, spring football is finally here. Ah, thank God. It feels like it's either the quickest thing or the most slowest thing just to get to here.
Low as like the NFL banning hip drop tackles.
Yeah. But you know what? Let's start with kind of the beginning on how's the off season. Man, so
Hmm.
many rumors, so many things that just had to go in. Like ah like what is just like I guess let's just talk about like how it kind of just started. First, it just started as a rumor or at least as an idea. You know, I think many fans in both leagues wanted many fans either both leagues or one of the leagues wanted to see what happens and trying to prove who is the best team in the modern spring football era. But when they finally announced it, I everyone was excited, but I think we were just wondering who was going to get cut or were all 16 teams going to remain. And remember, if y'all remember, we have seen so many team rumors saying like only the USFL teams are going to survive and four of the XFL teams are gonna remain ahead, or only maybe we're only going to have 10 teams, or we're going to have 12 teams, 6 on 6. But there was so many rumors, but but we finally got set for 8 teams. Which, yes, it is terrible that we're not going to see teams like the Sea Dragons coming back for this season, the New Orleans Breakers, um, um, the Pittsburgh Maulers, or the Philadelphia Stars, which is a team that has been to every USFL championship except for last season. So disappointing, but hey, hopefully these fans found new homes to new fan bases.
Ugh,
Mm.
yeah, so like it makes sense about these rumors. Like it makes sense why these 8 teams have been chosen because number one, they already have venues. Like the Houston Roughnecks has a venue, but also at the same time, since they are the quote unquote gamblers, the gamblers didn't really have a stadium because they had to share that with, I believe it was the Showboats last
Yeah,
year.
they should. Yeah, they shared. They were in Birmingham season one, and then season two they shared with Memphis as a hub.
Yeah. And then now University of Houston Stadium has gone under renovations and they are going to play at Rice Stadium.
Which is a very historic stadium. That's a very great spot to pick because I mean, sure, I mean the stadium's gonna be big in terms of like capacity seating, but I mean, it's better than no stadium at all and just defunct both Houston teams. So I mean, it is what it is, and but I guess to me, I just feel like I'm still gonna see them as the gamblers. I'm not gonna see them as like the Roughnecks of 2020 or 2023. That I don't know. I guess it's gonna take a moment for me just to see like, yeah, this is the Roughnecks, but it's not the Roughnecks of of before.
which I understand because it is a rebrand. Because because that's one major complication that you had to figure it out was which Houston team gamblers or Roughnecks because there it's the only city it's the only city that is shared between both leagues.
Yeah,
You have to figure out which one had a better representations. And personally, for me, it was Roughnecks
for sure. Yeah,
because they were great in 2020 with PJ Walker, and then they came back and they were still a good team under Wade Phillips. And Curtis Johnson had a really good run last year with the Gamblers. He was just under a he was just under a good conference, and he didn't make it to the playoffs because of it.
yeah. That I mean that the USFL South or the USFL South division was a very tough one. I mean, um, uh, yeah, it was a very tough division for sure. I mean, it was kind of in that XFL North uh, way for sure. But I mean, like compare, but I mean, looking at the competition, you had the Birmingham Stallions, who are they pretty much proved they dominated both seasons at 9-1 and 8-2. And then you also had the New Orleans Breakers, who pretty much, even with Larry Fedora or John D. Filippo as head coaches, they both showed that, hey, we can still compete this team. And then you finally had the Showboats, which they are finally free from a certain head coach who got destroyed 42-2. And I think they got destroyed by New Orleans in week 9. That pretty much just inevitably just end their season, even though they were alive week 10, but they had to go through some weird playoff scenario to clinch in.
Yeah, the playoffs was for both leagues. It was weird because it was like they were definitely good teams that should have been there. Some teams that should not. For example, like the USFL North with the Panthers and the Mullets, because nobody in the North had a winning record.
Yeah, the
And
only oh,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead. Sorry, go
And
ahead. Go
then
ahead.
the XFL North had it was between the Sea Dragons and the Battlehawks, and everybody was mad about the Battlehawks not being it. And when I saw that they got eliminated by the Sea Dragons, I was like, "Hey, if you can't win your division games, then you're not in the playoffs."
Yeah,
Because
like
that's why divisions are there for,
it's like they should have been the Sea Dragons in week 9, and that would have been it. That they would have been in the playoffs right there and then.
and one other time,
But
yeah,
I Yeah, I don't know. I was just like, I get why people wanted the Battlehawks, but I'm okay. Even though I was mad that the Houston Roughnecks lost to the Arlington Renegades in the playoffs, but also it's kind of like, in a way, like kind of it's funny that they actually did win it all at the end,
yeah.
and it did kind of like simmer down. Like, hey, anything can happen. It doesn't matter what record it is. The playoffs are basically an entire different atmosphere no matter what's the record. Because remember, we see the 2010 Seahawks 7-9. We saw the 2014 Panthers 7-8-1, and then the Washington Commanders. Even though yes, they lost that game, but they still managed some way to be competitive against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers.
Taylor Heineke, baby,
Yeah,
Taylor Heineke.
and I think that was like Taylor Heineke's first and only start, at least for that season. And so that's also kind of impressive when thinking about in the overall stance.
Oh yeah, and then you have the Buccaneers the next year, not the next year, 2 years later, going 8-9 and
Eight
lose
and nine, and that
badly to the Cowboys.
yeah, that's the only team that was probably like, oh yeah, this team should not been in the playoffs at all. But I mean, hey, the Falcons choked, the Saints choked. I mean, that's just what happens. And the Panthers definitely choked their way to division week 17, like the St. Louis Battlehawks. But hey, but now it is what it is. But all
Mhm.
right, let me see Green Monkeys comment. rather have them slowly grow than try to force in a visit. I'm assuming you're thinking about the expansion or potential, which is true. I do agree
Mm,
they do need a they do need to like not do it so quickly, but at the same time, I think they also should review the teams that were there in 2023 and see were they a reliable market, especially like the teams that had the home hubs from the USFL, and then you see the teams from the XFL who thought like, all right, was this team even good for their market, even if like the team was like terrible? Like let's just say if the Orlando Guardians had amazing attendance, but like the team was like 1-9, so just kind of give that as an example.
mhm. And, yeah, definitely take your time because definitely UFL has been talking about expansion, and you wanna take your sweet time with expanding. Like, you don't want to go from, like, 8 to 16 right off the bat. What you
Uh,
should do, I believe, is probably do, like, maybe from 8 to 10 or maybe 8 to 12. I think that is the beneficial.
yeah, I think 10 to 12 is a nice it's a nice number. It's not like it's too much, but nor is like too. I mean, yeah, nor is like very little within. So I think like first, I think they're gonna probably focus on the teams that are still probably like close within the division. So we're gonna probably see. So we might just see maybe. Let me think. Um, we might. I don't think we're gonna see the Sea Dragons just yet. We might see maybe one of the northern teams from the USF, maybe the Breakers. I think the Breakers are definitely coming back. I know people will probably say the Sea Dragons should go ahead, but I think they're probably still looking at it as an economic standpoint. Like, oh yeah, you're gonna have your training camp in Arlington, but then after that, you're gonna fly all the way to Seattle for a game. So they're probably gonna have that for consideration.
Mhm. It's
But
tricky.
I It is, but then there's also teams that I feel like they could expand to different cities to look like, so they don't need to necessarily go to they don't necessarily need to go to any of these 18 the funk teams. They could look at other teams that are like, hey, maybe we could move them there. Maybe put let's just say the Vegas Vipers to San Diego, like another team that got that pretty much got um what's the best word to describe this? That got screwed by the NFL and Dean Spanos. So I mean, they could look over there because does anyone really want to play at Cashman Field?
Trashman Field, correction.
Yes. Yeah. Uh, I guess we
No,
got a comment from Max Herzog. Are games being all played in one city again, or do teams get actual home games? All teams are gonna be playing at their home stadiums. Like Birmingham's gonna go to Protect the Field. DC is gonna go Audi Field. Arlington obviously have their own stadiums. The only thing that's gonna be it is during training camp and practices, they're all just gonna go to Arlington for their practices there. But then the weekend, everyone else is gonna go to their homes. Everyone else is gonna go to their home stadium to play the games.
everybody has their own venues, which is glorious.
Which is great because everyone was complaining with the USFL that they did not want another season where two teams per hub, which I mean I felt like season 3 I thought we could have gone maybe like one or two more teams to get a expansion because Cannon felt like it was predominantly staying and there was a chance for it sounded like either the Pittsburgh Maulers or the Generals might might stay there, but then inevitably we saw what happened on January 1st. It didn't happen.
Nope,
So,
did not.
but anyways, what are your thoughts on the Defender season? We got a little sidetracked there.
No, you're all good. No, we're just trying to lay the ground rules, given like background information of what is happening. It's all good. Okay, defenders. Oh man. Offensively, I am just a tad worried. Even before Abram Smith tore his ACL, that is a big bummer to see. Because yes, Jordan Tamu is back, but it's all about the receivers because last year we had a good receiving core. We had Lucky
Yeah,
Jackson, Chris Blair, and Hammond. And now they're no longer on the team because Lucky Jackson, I believe, he got into the 53-man roster with the Vikings.
yeah.
And now our receivers are considered of Chris Wallen, who was on the Stars, and we recently signed a former Texan, Kiki Kuti.
I thought he was gonna have flashes in the Texans roster, but I guess everything just fizzled out. So, but I mean that's still a solid receiver, solid pick. Hopefully he pans out. So we'll see there.
That's just the only thing I'm worried about. It's just the offense. Defense, I know, like I know Greg Williams because of Bounty Gate, but like he actually produced a good defense for the defenders. He just got out coached by Stoops in the championship game
Yeah,
because the Renegades got really hot at the right time. Because that's what playoffs is all about. It doesn't matter how good you are in the regular season; it's all about you get hot at the right time.
yeah. Because we saw that with the Eagles. We even saw that with the Stars, like even during the regular season, where they were like 4-4, looking like all right, they should be back to the playoffs. And then after that, they lost their like last three straight
It was
games there. So
horrible. It was
yeah,
bad for the Stars. Like I thought they were going to make it again, but they did not.
yeah, that was one of the bigger shocks of that season. Like that team should have been probably in the championship game once again, but uh I don't know. I just like their defense just collapsed. Like each game they had a shot, and then they just kept losing it.
Hmm. And
Yeah.
I think the defenders should go to the playoffs again. But I
Yeah.
think, but I mentioned in my playoff prediction, I believe that they will come in as the 2 seed because the
Mm.
Battlehawks really make noise. They made a lot of noise. I still think they are the number 1 seed for the XFL
Ye-
conference.
Yeah. They're basically one of the two teams that are the off-season champions at the moment. I mean, three teams that are the off-season champions at the moment, and I do believe that going ahead, this is going to be a tougher schedule for the. This is going to be a much tougher schedule for the DC Defenders because you have the Memphis Showboats with John DeFilippo now, who pretty much brought his own crew, brought his own guys from the New Orleans Breakers, but even the talent from the Showboats were still very solid. And then not only that, you also have um, the Arlington Renegades. They could still remain hot. You have the San Antonio Brahmas, which they are in a very interesting position. They don't have Heinz Ward as their head coach. Wade Phillips could be a very sneaky team going ahead. And then not only that, you also have Birmingham, the pretty much the two times USFL champions, Birmingham Challenge, which you are going to which that game's going to be in Birmingham, not in DC. So that's going to be a
Hmm.
tougher environment for the said DC defenders. So who knows what's going to happen there? Maybe because I feel like your ceiling is probably still going to be like 9-1, but I think your floor is probably like around 6-4 for this season.
That's what I was thinking too. And yes, weeks 3 through 5 is going to be the defenders' tough stretch. We start against Brahmas, and then we go to our first home game against Houston. Then we
Yeah,
have go to Arlington,
for
then go to
excellent.
Birmingham, and then we go home to play the Battlehawks, which is a game I'm actually going in person.
Nice.
Um, and then we have to play either the Brahmas and Panthers at home. So we have 3 home games in a row. And then we had to play San Antonio, and then we had to play our Renegades for week 10, and then we have the Showboats.
Yeah,
It's
because that
hmm,
that is a tough schedule for DC in general. Like if you're able to beat out at least like if you're able to beat out Birmingham, maybe probably even if you somehow sweep the Battlehawks again, you are in a prime position. You are pretty much prime position to be a championship contender.
plus Renegades.
Yeah, Renegades is also gonna be a very interesting opponent because like their off season wasn't horrible, but it wasn't like anything I would say like great for what it is.
Hmm.
I feel like yeah, I mean everyone could make the argument that the Arlington Renegades could definitely could make the 2 seed or even win the interesting one to watch this this season. But we could go ahead and go to another team here. I guess I'll start with my team. So if everyone wants to know, I am a Birmingham Stallions fan, and this was probably one by far one of the best off seasons to ever watch as a Stallions fan and as a UFL fan. Just seeing seeing Zach Potter and Skip Holtz go after every guy they can get. Sure, we had to cut some guys, but even then, looking at the roster, I am very confident that we can make a three-peat. I am very confident.
Man, you sound so giddy if you get what I'm saying.
Giddy up, yeah. Giddy up. But
Speaking
oh, go ahead.
speaking of like teams, I want to mention a little bit about the Brahmas because I am shocked about their starting quarterback. They are
Chase
starting
Garbers.
Chase Garber over Quentin Dermatti, the quarterback that beat the DC Defenders.
Th- that was like I guess like because so how James Larson put it out based on what AJ Smith, the offensive coordinator for the San Antonio Brahmas, who was the offensive coordinator for the Houston Roughnecks in 2023 and 2020, if I believe so, with
It
under
was
head coach
2020.
under head coach June Jones. Uh, so I think that this and comparing him to the skill sets of PJ Walker is a very interesting it's a very interesting move. So that means
Mm.
if that means it probably fit in a scheme and showing if Chase Garbers is showing the skill set PJ Walker, that means there is a very high chance the San Antonio Brahmas are going to be a very sneaky team going ahead to the 2024 season. So who knows what happens there? I'm still very unsure what they are because they have a lot of new pieces and obviously new coaching staff to go with. So it's kind of hard to say what is their overall deal.
I mean, I was thinking throughout the whole thing with the Brahmas starting Quentin Dermatti because they also have Cody Latimer, who is the tight end of the Orlando Guardians of the 2023 XFL. I thought they're gonna keep establishing that connection because Cody Latimer was probably the best tight end of that season, and I'm just surprised that they're not gonna be able to have that connection again, starting against DC.
I'm thinking throughout training camp they were probably looking at Dormati being the QB1 for sure, but I'm thinking Garber's kind of I guess probably has a kind of like probably during maybe the scrimmages and practices kind of shown to be like, hey, he has the QB connection. Probably they even like with like PJ Walker. Remember Cam Phillips in 2020 as well, since he was like the wide
Mm-hmm.
receiver one. That could be the potential with maybe Garbers and Latimer in that offense. So who knows? So who knows what will be the overall deal is? So we're gonna see them play on DC on Sunday. So who knows what happens there? Because I feel like that game is going to be pretty close overall, since it's a brand new season. Anything can go. So yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too before like I started making my weekly predictions for the season. I think this game between the Defenders and the Brahmas could be closer than we all think.
yeah. Because some people have them as a blowout just because of probably like last season when they probably just saw the records but which I get it. I mean I see why like people have like like not really putting their flowers for the Brahmas, which I'm kind of in that position too. But I'm still at
Hmm.
least acknowledging like the potential the Brahmas could have for this season. So who knows what happens there? But I guess might as well, since we're talking about games, let's just talk about all the 4 games that are coming up week 1.
Oh, here we go.
Starting with the first game, the best game to kick it off, the Arlington Renegades, the XFL champions, who was 4-6 in the regular season, going against the 2-time UFL champions, Birmingham Stallions. uh, this is gonna be the game. This is obviously the game of the week here. Um, I am excited but nervous because every Stallions fan here pretty much just kind of solidified that we're here. We are here to play spring ball. It doesn't matter we're playing an XFL opponent. Doesn't matter we're playing a USFL opponent. We're here to dominate the modern spring league football, and we have to start off strong, going against the XFL champions who are trying to prove themselves that, hey, last year's run was not just a fluke, and we're here. And even then, this is not the first time the Stallions have faced Luis Perez before. Remember, week 1 2 years ago, when he was a general, we did face Luis Perez, and the Stallions did eventually won the game under Jamar Smith.
Hmm. Yeah, you cannot start, like I said before, you cannot start off a better game than this. You can't. It's two different league champions. What else do you want? Like, Stallions are coming off building, having a potential dynasty in the making, and the Renegades are showing everybody, hey, this is not a fluke. We are going to wreck things.
And not only that, if the Stallions start off 0-1, not only Twitter slash X is gonna be all over, but all over the Stallions fan pages and everything. But this is gonna be the most overreaction probably for any football game we had. This because I am prepared for that scenario in my head, even though I am gonna pick the Stallions to win this game for sure. But that scenario, everyone's gonna and not only that, this also is going to be the argument for the XFL is better than the USFL in terms of competitiveness. That's
Oh,
the one thing I'm
goodness.
also going to hate the most about this. It's not even for the fact that the Stallions will lose this game. It's more for the fact that every XFL soul fan will be like saying the XFL is better than the USFL, even though I've been kind of like just trying to say, hey, both leagues have shown they have equal amount of talent. They've shown they have high competitiveness. So the Stallions got to giddy up and win this game right here. This just has to happen.
I'm with you right there. I am also going to be taking the Stallions for this one.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be very close, just because
Hmm.
since these two teams aren't familiar with each other. Yeah, there are players that played against each other, but not. But this is like a new overall roster. This is basically like a new league in general. We're just seeing two teams that have not faced each other yet. So we're gonna find out how it goes. I'm saying Stallions win 28-24.
Hmm. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Stallions can definitely show a three-peat.
Yeah. Up next, who's next on the list? Is it the Memphis game or is it the Panthers game? I kind of
Next game after the Stallions game, it is the Battlehawks and Panthers.
Oh, that's going to be a very interesting one. The Panthers, a team that went to the playoffs last season, but people aren't really high as much as them, mainly because either coaching or just like the team has something, but it's like it shows desire, but we are very unsure what this team is. And then we have
Yeah.
the St. Louis Battlehawks, who are pretty much on a would it be a revenge tour or on a prove it to the playoffs tour. I think that'll be probably the latter. But yeah,
Hmm.
this game is going to be in Michigan, so not in St. Louis. So I wonder how so we're going to see an XFL team handle a USFL team environment. So I want to see how that one goes. But
Mhm.
but look at this, Michigan. I think you could say that the Battlehawks are probably better than the Panthers. There's maybe,
Mhm.
but you know what? Michigan has something.
They
The lion,
do.
the lion spirit. The
They do, but at the same time, I really believe that out of the 8 teams, I think Michigan is one of the weaker teams. They do have a great defense. Don't get me wrong with Frank Ginda and Breland Speaks, but I just don't know a lot about like the offense because I don't even know like who's the receiving core and who's going to be quarterback. Is it going to be EJ Perry? Is it going to be Danny Etling?
or is it going
Like
to be Brian
there's
Luerk? But it sounds like Luerk is probably QB3. So
yeah, but it's like a huge question mark. But even though the Battlehawks are going to be without Jacor Pearson for a while, like half the season, I'm still taking the Battlehawks.
yeah, I'm still gonna take the Battlehawks too. I'm not really high on the Panthers this season because even looking at the USFL season in 2023, yeah, they made the playoffs at 4-6, but looking at the games they played, there wasn't really anything to show anything like, okay, there's hope for this team. EJ Perry showed flashes in his 2 games as a Panther in week 10 and during the playoff game, but that's about it. Flashes. It could be because I could think of it like the Drew Lock scenario in like
Mm-hmm.
2019 where he had a phenomenal rookie season throughout those 5 games, or and then they could just flop like the next season. So who knows what are we going to see over there? They have a brand new, I guess they sort of have a new coaching staff in terms of their offense coordinator and their defensive coordinator. And it looks
Mm-hmm.
like they're from the Philadelphia Stars. So we're going to see, so we'll see what
Interesting.
happens there. So this team is they're going to be a sleeper pick or they're going to be one of the weaker teams in the USFL conference in
Mm-hmm.
general. But
Yeah,
I'm
and like the Drew Lock situation you mentioned, the only reason like Drew Lock did not do well the next season was because there was a change in coaching staff because they changed offensive coordinators. And the original one he had in his rookie season, that was his play style, versus the next one they hired in the COVID season did not pan out
Yeah,
well. So it
Pat
could it
Shermer was a disaster.
God, he was horrific. But anyways, we talked
Yeah,
about the Brahmas and the defenders. Obviously, I'm taking defenders here.
I am gonna take the defenders as well. There's just so many pieces with the Brahmas that's just
Mm-hmm.
gonna be question marks either because they could, but like I wouldn't be surprised if this will be like one of the week 1 upsets. I'm not trying to not trying to be Debbie Downer with the defenders, but it's just more for the fact that since the team is kind of practically new, we don't know
Mm-hmm.
what can happen, and especially since they got an upgrade at head coach with Wade Phillips, maybe there's some chance that we can see that the San Antonio Brahmas could probably have that ignition to step on the defenders and take the win over there. So who knows what goes on?
Who knows? Like I said, it could be closer than we can imagine.
Yeah.
And I need to go in a couple minutes,
All
but the
right.
last game is actually a really good one. Houston versus Memphis.
Ooh.
Every time these two cities in the USFL went up against each other last year, it was a
Yeah.
good game. It was a
It,
good game, even though
it,
Houston won both meetings,
well,
but
no, it was split. It was a split division.
it was split. Oh, it was
Yeah.
split. My
Yeah,
bad. Thank you
Houston
for
won the
correcting
first
me.
matchup. Yeah, Houston won the first matchup, and then Memphis won the second matchup when they went on that like winning streak.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm taking Memphis.
yeah. Okay, originally in my original schedule prediction, I had the Houston Roughnecks winning this game, being at home. Finally, basically the gamblers in general gained finally getting to home for the first time ever. And I thought, hey, this team, and especially since having the Houston Roughnecks branding, the fan base is gonna go wild. They're gonna go crazy at Rice University. But they lost a very key important piece, and that is Mark Thompson. he's going to be out for a good bit of the season, and I'm not sure what this offense is going to contain. The defense shows promise. Their defense is going to be great, and I could see them slowing down the Memphis Showboats offense, but I don't think they're going to do enough to justify and handle it. So
No Trent
I'm
Harris because he's now a defender.
yeah, I'm gonna pick the Showboats for this game right here.
Hmm.
We don't even have we don't know who the QB1 is. Everyone's presuming it's gonna be Case Cook is going to that game as the starter, but I guess Troy Williams has shown sorry, not Troy Williams, Cole Kelly has shown that like, hey, he can still play at that level. And probably I do make the argument maybe because since Todd Haley is no longer head coach, he can finally probably thrive as a QB. So we might get to see both QBs play this game. So I'm
Hmm.
feeling Cookus probably will get a lot more reps, uh but we'll see what happens. I am going to take the Showboats for this game and might be the blowout of the week.
Blowout of the week. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I think my blowout of the week will be Battlehawks and Panthers.
Oh shoot.
I think that will be the case.
I was thinking maybe I thought that game was gonna be a lot more closer just because since again two teams unfamiliar with each other, so it might be that week one unfamiliarity where the Battlehawks might struggle just a tiny bit, but who
Hmm.
knows? Who knows what happens there? But
Yeah. All
yeah,
right. Before I sign off, playoff predictions.
all right.
Um,
Playoff predictions. I have for my USFL conference. I have the Birmingham Stallions representing the 1 seed. They'll be hosting a playoff game and going against the team that was able to at least going against a coach that was able to defeat the Birmingham Stallions, and that is the Memphis Showboats. Uh, so hopefully their offseason hype is really good. But to represent the XFL conference, my first seed, I'm going to the St. Louis Battlehawks. They have to make the playoffs. There's no other option right there, or else they're going to get mocked down again at Twitter. And then you have the second seed. I am still going to pick the DC Defenders, representing them, and DC going to St. Louis for a playoff. I really want to see what that environment is going to be like, especially in the championship game if St. Louis wins the playoff game.
oh yeah. Yeah, I have the same thing as you. Stallions, Showboats, then Battlehawks, and Defenders.
All right.
Same done deal. All
All
right.
right.
Thank you so
Thank you very
much
much.
for
All right.
allowing me to be on the guest here.
No problem. Hopefully we get more. Hopefully I get more people. Let's just see. I should send a link, or if anyone wants to join in, just let me know, and then I'll send out the link.
All
All
right.
right.
Hope you have a great day.
Hope you all have a good day yourself.
Cheerio.
Cheerio. All right. That was Lightning Junior here. We are now. No, it was Lightning Junior here. Great friend of mine. Great friend of mine in the TikTok world. Uh, but yes, this is going to be by far one of the more funnest seasons gonna I am gonna see. It's gonna hopefully my predictions end well. Hopefully they end really good. But let's just see more of the let's just see more of the comments. Uh, Max Herzog definitely better this way for sure. With the I'm assuming you're talking about the when we're talking about the home hubs. Yes, that's a great way to do it. Green Monkey says any players y'all could think that could make it to the NFL, they get a chance to start. I guess, basically what I'm seeing for the trend for the past couple seasons from both leagues, I'm thinking more of these special teams since, USFL 2022, we got Cavante Turpin being a great specialist for the Dallas Cowboys, and now he's now getting a little more reps as a wide receiver. And then 2023 in USFL, you had Birmingham Stallions legend Brandon Aubrey going ahead, and uh, I saw his Pro Bowl season. That was very immaculate for him, transitioning from the UFL to the from the USFL to the XFL to the NFL, and then the NFL. I remember that DC Defenders punter Dan Whelan is now the main starting punter for the Green Bay Packers. So I'm really kind of seeing where I'm just trying to see more into the special teams, especially mainly kickers and punters in that area because I feel like they have a very higher chance to get a shot in the league. Obviously, we had AJ McCarron from last season going back to his old team in the Bengals just to back up Jake Browning, and then you had some players, that either end up on practice squads or something. Then obviously in 2020, you had PJ Walker. PJ Walker signing up for the Panthers for the past 3 seasons, and then he was in Chicago but got cut. But then he went to Cleveland for for a good amount of the season. So who knows what happens there? But who knows what happens there? We're gonna see. I'm just trying to see who. I'm just trying to more fill out with the special teams. So there you go. Then then I see Max Earls trying to say AJ McCarron, which again, it's a possibility, but I think he's probably likely staying in the spring league links because he wants to see, hope just wants to want to see his kids watch him play football. So we'll see right there. Maybe he could go back to an NFL roster, but yeah, we'll see what happens there. Um, but any questions? Because up next, I'm probably gonna do my power rankings for the season, and I'm gonna do my power rankings for the season up next, or I guess already done it, but you'll see it in a moment. But give me 1 second. Give me a second to pull it up. Did you get a wheel too? I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking, should I add a curse wheel to the UFL? But you know what? I'm gonna say no. I am not gonna do the curse wheel because you know why? I am not gonna attempt to curse my team into losing week 1 or losing any game or have any significant injuries because of said wheel. No, I'm good. I'm good. But fair point. Yeah, I'm not trying. Like Perna could handle the curse. Brandon Perna could handle the curse wheel. You know, I rather let him handle the curse wheel, and hopefully that curse wheel is still fine because he had that curse wheel pretty much played through injury. We saw that, and he was still a trooper. And soon as that injury happened, the Magic was kind of losing out. So we'll see what happens there. All right, come on. All right, we give me a second here. Here we go. He said he was gonna get a bigger. He was gonna go bigger this year for the wheel. Hopefully, I'm thinking he's probably gonna buy a new wheel, and that's probably my best prediction. Looking how it was. All right. We got the power rankings. If you look right here, this is my week 1 power rankings heading to the UFL season, and starting at number 8, I have the Michigan Panthers. Again, as I explained it, this team, as I feel, this team is going to be one of the more weaker teams. This is just, I just don't feel I just don't know what this team is, especially having new offensive coordinators. I do like their offense they're showing promise. I'm thinking they're probably going to have probably 2 QBs play week 1 and see who can duke it out against the St. Louis Battlehawks. But I'm feeling EJ Perry will probably be the starting quarterback. Their wide receivers show promise. I wish they had Corey Coleman, but unfortunately he retired this offseason. So we'll see what happens there. The defense is probably going to their defense is probably going to make some teams struggle. So I feel like they're going to be competitive, but I don't think they're really going to be all great there. And then number 7, this is a team I'm 100% sleeping on for sure, and that is the San Antonio Brahmas. They have pieces to look like they can contend. They're definitely looking like a team that um could probably pull one against either the DC Defenders or the St. Louis Battlehawks as one of my playoff teams. But there's just too many pieces to go around, and if they're picking Chase Garbers as the guy and showing this um, PJ Walker like mindset, I think this is going to be I think it's just going to show what we're going to watch, what are we going to see. So who knows what happens there. And then up next at number 6, I have the Houston Roughnecks. Again, another team that has overall promise for what they can be. And And you know what? I'm again a team that definitely has been the Birmingham Stallions twice in back-to-back seasons, at least once. Uh, they're a team that's going to be very sneaky. I just again their offense is just I just don't know what this offense is. Their defense, I think they're putting me at 6 because I do love their defense that much that they could because their defense was kind of like one reason why they were in so many games last season in the USFL in 2023. Especially, they brought back 2022 USFL Defensive Player of the Year, Chris Odom, to the roster again. So, who knows what happens? And I just feel like if Jason Garantano is the guy going ahead to be the QB1 for the Houston Roughnecks, and he somehow shows promise, maybe there's a chance for the Houston Roughnecks to one up the Showboats in the playoffs berth. So we'll see what happens there. At number 5, I have the Arlington Renegades. Again, as I explained it before, they had a decent. Their offseason was okay, but didn't really show anything that's gonna move the needle. They're gonna prove a year. They're gonna show what happens. And I feel like as long as they may have shown the offense, maybe the offense booms as they were previously during the playoff run. So if that happens, this team is definitely be able to compete for 2020 in 2024. At number 4, I got the Memphis Showboats, a team that was, looking like one of the worst teams in heading to the 2023 season, but finally got like a 5-game winning stretch during that time, but then lost their last 2 games to the Showboats and Birmingham Stallions. But they finally got a new coach in John DeFilippo, who did great for the New England Breakers in his first season there. So, and he brought in some of his guys, so this could contain some chemistry is gonna be there, and especially bringing in a quarterback in Case Cookus, who might say he's the best quarterback out of all the 8 teams in the UFL. But there's obviously you still have Tiamu, you have Perez to show that hey they can still ball, but I might say the Showboats are going to have a very explosive offense. Their defense is going to be. I feel like their defense is going to be very great going into the season. And they're definitely going to be very competitive, and they could probably be a team like the DC Defenders or the St. Louis Battlehawks, depending on the situation. And if at number 3, we got the DC Defenders. A team that's definitely going to show. I feel like a team that's definitely going to show that they're still going to be competitive. They're still going to be great under Reggie Barlow. Unfortunately, they did lose Abram Smith, and who knows what's going to happen. Probably going to resort a lot more with Tiamu. So we'll see what goes on right there. So but I feel like Reggie Barlow is definitely going to be a team. He is a great leader. We have that famous quote: "You like football?" But yes, we do love football. But yeah, I'm just right now again, like Lightning Jr. said, he's the offense is still kind of questionable, especially at the receiver core since it's a brand new set of receivers. And I think the only guy that I remember that was still on the defender's roster was probably Chris Rowland, I believe. But we'll go on from there. Then you have the St. Louis Battlehawks and number 2, a team that's an offseason championship team. The team got at least better throughout the offseason. A team that's gonna try to prove that hey, we are going into the playoffs. We're gonna prove everyone that that we're going to be dominant. We're going to be a championship contending team. And if they make the championship in St. Louis, that's gonna be mainly insane, especially going to the first season into the UFL and you're hosting a championship game at home with one pretty much arguably the best fan base and the biggest fan base in the UFL and the U or in the XFL slash USFL sorry UFL. Um, but overall, they're a very exciting team. Anthony Beck is definitely going to lead the charge. Agent McCarron is back, so everyone's overall excited. So let's see what happens there. And then finally, at number one, you have the two-time USFL champions, the Birmingham Stallions. This is my favorite team. Y'all could say this is a little bit biased, but this team pretty much got a lot of talent. Either they were formerly in the NFL or just teams that were in the Stallions from the previous seasons. And Skip Holtz by far is pretty much the I might arguably be the best coach in the UFL at the moment. Like he's shown that this team could be dominant in his first season. Like no matter who was at quarterback, which either was Jamar Smith or Alex Magoo, he showed that he can adjust the offense to them, not making someone have the not trying to make some quarterback fit into it. So and our and the room right now is overall the probably one of the more interesting QB rooms because you have Jamar Smith going his third season, and I'm excited he can do. But everyone, overall is excited, and everyone's kind of making this the consensus QB1 is Matt Corral. In 2022, drafted by the Panthers in the third round, got injured during the preseason and never really got his shot. He got signed to the Patriots practice squad for one moment, but he had some personal issues going on. We're finally going to see what he can do. I believe Jamar Smith is still going to be the week one starter since he is a proven veteran. He's shown that he could still sling the ball. So we'll see what happens there. But I would not be surprised if I see Matt Corral going into week one against the Arlington Renegades and showing what he can do. But I'm excited for this team. I'm excited what's going to happen. And those are my week one power rankings. I am not going to do a curse wheel after this, but yes. But now we are back. Yeah. Ah, he said the wheel's gonna. He mentioned that getting his dad to make something. He was the one that built the new set. I am very interested in what's gonna happen there. It's gonna be it's gonna be fun overall. But yeah. Ah, but any other questions? Like any things that in your mind, maybe anything everyone's confused about, any questions? Should be a fun year. Yes, I do agree 100%. I'm excited. Hopefully we get more hopefully hopefully a lot more people tune into the UFL. Hopefully this does not divide. Hopefully this just unite the fan bases together. We're going to have a fun time. We're going to roast teams. We're going to have overall it's going to be a great experience. I cannot wait to see who who will come out of top. Will it be the Stallions? Any rule change you're interested in seeing and how it affects the game? Any rule change? Replying to the UFL, we're talking about the NFL rules. I'm sorry, just trying to see what you mean. I mean, I wouldn't say there's not really much rule change, but I guess if we're going in terms maybe in the USFL, that the USFL is going to be gonna. I guess the one thing I'm interested in seeing for the USFL conference for the USFL teams on how they're going to handle the extra point margins because since there's no longer going to be extra point field goals for this one. There's just going to be the 1.3, 2.3 point rule that we saw in the XFL in 2023. So I'm interested in how the Birmingham Stallions or any one of these USFL teams are going to handle it. I feel like it's going to take maybe a moment to adapt. I think obviously, they probably have been practicing throughout training camp and throughout training camp. We're gonna and probably see how they handle these types of situations. So hopefully, hopefully the USFL teams are able to adjust the thing. And it's also funny that like the XFL that the NFL now are doing the XFL kickoffs, but but we're gonna do the USFL traditional kickoff rules for it. So the irony in all of this. Uh, but yeah, I just want to see how it goes, and I'm hoping a lot of people will go in tune this game. I'll try to tune in as many games as I can, but with work and everything, it's gonna be probably sometimes tough. But I'm hoping week 3 I should hopefully live stream the home opener for the Birmingham Stallions against the Memphis Showboats. Now that is a game I am excited about, which I think we could talk into this. One of the more exciting games the exciting games I'm interested in watching. I'm gonna pull up the UFL schedule now. So, uh, all right, and we are gonna go in right about now. No, steps again. All right, we have the UFL schedule. Um, Reject. All right, so we have I said my game of the week would be the Birmingham Sounds versus the Arlington Renegades, and week 1, that's a game I think everyone should tune in. I'm going to try to tune in as much as I can for this game, since it is a technically a 10 a.m. Pacific time for me. So I'm going to try my best to watch this game, best of my ability. Then we have the next game, Battlehawks Panthers. Another USFL XFL game. So we'll see how that one goes. Then and then we have our first ever XFL versus XFL matchup and our first USFL matchup. Now week 2, the one game I think I find interesting on the schedule is the Arlington Renegades versus St. Louis Battlehawks for this one, just because you have the XFL champs going against a very good St. Louis Battlehawks team. So we'll see how that one goes. Maybe the Renegades could pull it off. And I think an underrated one we have here is probably the Brahmas versus Showboats. Maybe the Brahmas are the team that we could be very interested in, and this game could be very close. Then you have Stallions Panthers. Who knows what goes on there? Then you have Roughnecks Defenders. This was a matchup in week 6, and this was a matchup people wanted. This is what the matchup people wanted in the XFL championship, but obviously that didn't happen. But obviously you have the Houston Roughnecks going ahead into this one. Next one, you have the all right, sorry. Next one you have the matchup for the XFL championship game rematch. We have the decent defenders going to Arlington, or at least staying in Arlington to face the Renegades. And this one's probably a matchup for the week for people who watch the XFL in 2020. This was the XFL championship matchup, and now both of these teams are not going to see each other not only once but twice in the regular season. So we're going to see how this one goes. The fans are definitely ready to rumble for this game, and they're ready to take on. And I guess this will be the 7th time in the spring league era that Luis Perez and Jordan Teyamu will face each other before. They faced each other in the XFL in 2020. They faced each other in USFL in 2020. Uh, in the USFL in 2022, and then now they faced each other a few times in the XFL in 2023. So we'll see how that one goes. Wait, where are you, mouse? There it is. All right. Then this one, another game I'm excited about. Again, Memphis Showboats versus Birmingham Stallions. A Showboats team who has now pieces to go ahead and uh, you know you know, ties to the Breakers, with the coach and some of the players. So we're gonna see how that one goes. And a lot of Showboats fans, if anyone remembers, 42-2 in week two. So I don't think the Showboats are willing to see that. Want to see that game once again. So this time the Showboats are going to come in a fury. This game is going to be exciting. I expect this one to be high scoring for this game, but and this will be basically the championship night, since this will be the home opener for the Birmingham Stallions. So we'll see how that one goes. And then you have your divisional matchups with the Roughnecks and Panthers. That one, I feel like it's interesting, but I feel like it's just going to be just a divisional matchup. And then you have the Battlehawks and Brahmas, which, if y'all remember, during week one of the XFL season, the San Antonio Brahmas were leading 15-0, if I recall. And then the St. Louis Battlehawks pretty much made a comeback the 2 minutes. Within the 2 minutes of that game, and the Battlehawks eventually won that game at the end. So we'll see what happens there. Uh, both Battlehawks. I feel like that one's gonna be a fun matchup to watch. I feel like Case Cookers versus AJ McCarron will be a fun matchup. Then you have this game. Lining Junior's team versus my team, the DC Defenders going to Birmingham, and this is probably a great opportunity for the Birmingham Stallions to show another true test right here that they could beat these XFL teams, because a lot of people are saying that the Birmingham Stallions have played weird competition and they're not like a legit true team. But this is going to be a true test right here. And if Birmingham wins it, they're going to show that they are going to be a dynasty in the Spring League era. Then you have the Arlington Renegades versus Houston Roughnecks. For any Roughnecks fans of the XFL, this is a interesting matchup because this was a XFL South Division rival game, and the Arlington Renegades did defeat the Houston Roughnecks in the playoffs in a very convincing fashion. So we'll see what happens there with this new Roughneck squad, since this is basically the Arlington Renegades versus the Houston Gamblers technically, but we'll go on from there. Then week 5, we're heading now to the mid seasons. We have Birmingham versus Houston. I'm circling this one up as a revenge matchup because the past 2 seasons, as the Birmingham Stallions has faced the Houston Gamblers, this team has shown that the Houston Roughnecks / Gamblers have found a way to beat the Birmingham Stallions. We don't know why, we don't know how it's possible, but it just keeps happening, and I am overall sick of it. I need the Birmingham Stallions to go into Rice Stadium, and just prove that they can finally sweep the Houston Gambler Roughnecks uh, in the USFL conference. And then you have another great matchup following that. You have the St. Louis Battlehawks versus DC Defenders. Even though the DC Defenders had swept the Battlehawks in the regular season last year, they they overall shown that they could be. They overall shown these games are very close. These games are overall fun. Jordan Tiamu um, versus AJ McCarron. These are going to be classic matchups, and it's a very good opportunity for DC to win this game, especially at Audi Field right there. Then you have Panthers Showboats. Then we have Birmingham versus Memphis. We're back to playing them in another divisional game. Hopefully, this game is also exciting as the one, hopefully, in week 3. Then you have the Houston Roughnecks versus St. Louis Battlehawks. They're going to play in St. Louis. That's going to be a tough environment to play, especially if you're CJ Johnson as head coach. But I think it's going to be exciting at the same time. Then Brahma's Defenders will face again for the second time in the season. And you have Renegades Panthers. I'm not sure. I just don't feel high on the Panthers. I'm not sure what goes on there. Then you have these Showboats versus the Renegades. Um, could be a fun matchup. Let's just see how both teams are going into week 7. But this right here, week 7, this is game of the year material. Pretty much you have the biggest and loudest fan base going against the two-time champs. This is pretty much the third, very much one of the bigger tests for the Birmingham Stallions, especially at home. You got to win this game right here to prove that you could win in this league. And this is pretty much going to be the Twitter war right here. This is the Twitter civil war right here between the Battlehawks and the Stallions. I expect this game to be a kind of like a Ohio State versus Michigan type of feel right here. And if any of these teams win, nobody's gonna like it, but hopefully hopefully the Stallions win this game. I'm just Stallions need to win this game right here. They have the Panthers going to Audi Field. Tough for the Panthers. And then you have the Brahmas versus Roughnecks. Another this team was a division rival game. This is the Texas Showdown. It is what it is. Then you have the Memphis Showboats versus the Michigan Panthers. Another division matchup. Houston Roughnecks versus the Birmingham Stallions. We got to sweep the Roughnecks right there. Then you have the another Defenders versus Battlehawks. So this is basically division rivalry right here. And we have another Texas matchup between the Arlington Renegades versus San Antonio Brahmas. So we'll see how that will go on forward. Then in week nine you have the St. Louis Battlehawks versus Arlington Renegades. Second time they meet up. Um, Birmingham versus San Antonio. I would love to see a game at the Alamo Dome at one point, just because just an interesting stadium. I'm curious to see, but unfortunately not going to be this year. But hopefully sometime soon. I would love to see it, but Birmingham versus San Antonio should be an interesting matchup. If the San Antonio Brahmas appear to be the team that I'm sleeping on and look dominant, this one could be a very fun matchup going ahead. If not, then we'll see how it goes. Maybe the Birmingham Stallions finally clinch the playoff spot at this point. So we'll see from there. And then this one, I find this one a very fun, and this one could be a matchup that could be classic because the defenders probably going in, looking like they could probably go into Memphis, thinking like they could win this game easily. But this could be a potential trap game right here. The Showboats shown that they are dominant as they are. Then there's a chance for the Showboats to pull this upset right here. And then you have the Panthers versus Roughnecks, which to point out the Panthers and Roughnecks games, it's kind of underrated in the USFL because they met both times and they split both in the series for the past 2 seasons. So finally get to see them play him twice and maybe form this form of a weird USFL conference rivalry. We can see what happens there. Then week 10, the final week of the season, this could be definitely either teams that are clinching up playoff spots and just probably going to rest their players, or teams that are going to be fighting for the last two playoff spots, or even fighting for a home playoff spot for this game. So Panthers, Stallions, I hope Stallions should win this game right here. Then you have the Brahmas versus Battlehawks. If the Brahmas again, if they're somehow the team that they could be, this game could definitely be game of the week material right here. So who knows what happens? And then you have again the another rematch, another matchup for the Arlington Renegades versus DC Defenders, another classic matchup. Who knows what happens? This one's in Audi Field. So again, this is a game that could probably determine the either the first you determine a playoff spot right here. And then you finally have the Showboats versus Roughnecks. They finally meet again after week 1, and we'll see what happens there because the Roughnecks, whenever they play the Showboats, those two teams go at it. Those teams, it's always fun to see. They split last season. I don't remember what happened in 2022 when the Showboats were the Tampa Bay Bandits, but I'm excited to see what happens in this game. Hopefully, uh, one of these teams will come out on top. But anyways, that's the schedule and just my thoughts on it. But and this is the schedule for the conference championship game. So basically, the top two seeds from the top two teams from both conferences. We'll see how that one goes. You have first game will be on Saturday, June 8th at 12 p.m. Pacific or 3 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Then on Fox, you have time to be determined. So we'll just see. I'm assuming they're working out the scheduling kinks right there for Fox. But and then finally, you have the USFL championship game on Fox. Uh, is going to be in St. Louis, and I mean, for stadium wise, I mean that's great. This is a team. This is the game. Pretty much, this game at St. Louis is going to be. I feel like it's going to be a fun matchup, a great matchup. So we'll see how that one goes. And if the Battlehawks, and I'm assuming if the Battlehawks somehow make the championship game, this is going to be a ultimate home field advantage for said Battlehawks fans. But if this not, and you have a team like the Birmingham Stallions and the DC Defenders, or whoever shows up, then it's gonna be interesting how that stadium is gonna look like going into the teams if it's not the Battlehawks. So, but yeah, but all right, uh, Alamo Dome is definitely definitely of its time stadium for sure. Saw a Spurs game at a few concert gear. Nice. Taking off, fellas. Let's see you guys tomorrow. Hope to see you tomorrow, Max. Wish you luck. Have a good day. And you have Green Monkey. Have a good one, Max. See you tomorrow. Yeah. So that's but yeah, but overall that's the at least I guess I just did a breakdown of the schedule, but I am but I think like just seeing some of these matchups going in and hopefully they remain that way. I am overall excited. These matchups are going to be great. And hopefully also not only that, hopefully this seeing the UFL hopefully kind of puts a damper on the whole like nobody's going to watch the UFL. Nobody's gonna watch the scene because I don't get why sometimes NFL fans will say, "Oh, like why should we care about the UFL? Why should we?" I mean, it's an interesting question, but how they it just feels like nobody's gonna watch this league. I mean, it's a league of opportunity. That's what it is. It's a league of opportunity. It's not like it's gonna compete with the NFL at all. So just let it happen. I drive by the Alamo on my way to work. Definitely small compared to newer stadiums. Hmm. I mean, for what it is, I mean, small is good for the UFL in terms of especially having seating capacity because one thing I kind of didn't like. I was trying like the UFL. Hopefully, they're just trying to do less of is putting their teams in NFL stadiums. I know the only team so far, the only team that has it is the Michigan Panthers with the Detroit Lions, and technically, you could argue the St. Louis Battlehawks since it was at the St. Louis Rams Stadium at the St. Louis Rams Stadium. So that's technically another an NFL like stadium right there. And then I guess for a third one, you could also add the Rice University, which you had the Houston Oilers played there back in the day. So we technically have two teams playing at NFL like caliber stadiums, and you have one team that used to host an NFL stadium, but obviously now is hosting Rice University football right there. So we see what happens, but if you want to know where each stadium is going to be played at, for some people, you have Birmingham Stallions. They're going to play at Protective Stadium in Birmingham. You have the Memphis Showboats. They're going to play at um, Liberty Bank Simmons Stadium. I believe I got it correct, but yeah, yeah, it's good for college games for sure. And then you have the Houston Roughnecks, like I mentioned before. They're playing at Rice University Stadium. They previously played at TDECU Stadium in Houston, at University of Houston. Same people that don't watch spring league are the same people that don't watch college. I bet. Hey, I don't watch college, but I'm not gonna. But I don't. Yeah, I don't watch college. All right. To be fair, I don't watch college football, but I don't. I don't dunk on it. I'm like, hey, I, I'm interested in college football, but it's more like I just feel like I don't really have a favorite team. I don't really have a favorite school to root for. I just I get the appeal of college football, but I probably just need to watch it more. I mean, I'm not gonna dunk on it because it's still football at the end of the day. So, uh, but back to the stadiums. Like I said, the Houston Roughnecks will play at Rice University Stadium. It's a historic stadium, so that's a great place. They originally played at TDCU, which was the University of Houston Stadium, but obviously, that team, like Lenny Jr. said, that stadium's going to go under renovation. So basically, the Roughnecks was not even going to the XFL Roughnecks in 2023 weren't going to have a home either way. So they finally got a place that's good. So this will technically be the Houston Roughnecks, Houston Gamblers' first time getting a home stadium. So we'll see how that one goes. And then you have the Michigan Panthers, which they're again one team that's hosting that's on an NFL stadium in Detroit. So hopefully the Michigan Panthers fan base is going to be electric and loud as the Detroit Lions fan base, especially seeing how Michigan football won finally a championship. The Detroit Lions made a conference championship appearance and won two home playoff games. So hopefully the Lions fans will be Panthers fans for the season and come in at droves and root for the team, even if they're going to be if no matter if they're going to be good or bad. So we'll go on from there. And then the XFL side, you have the Arlington Renegades. They're going to play at Choctaw Stadium, which is this was formerly Texas Rangers in the Texas Ranger Stadium. But now it's finally home to the Arlington Renegades, and I believe a rugby team, if I heard. So that's overall interesting. And then you have the uh, DC Defenders. They're going to play at Audi Field, which is home to the MLS DC soccer team. Which that is a great home field environment. Looking at the film, looking at the place, at like DC Defenders fans are electric. They're wild. They have their beer snake. I feel like that seems like a fun place to watch a game in, and hopefully, again, if the UFL is still alive after 2024, I really want to see the Birmingham Stallions go to DC and play at Audi Field. I'm hopefully that game. Hopefully they're still there, and then you have uh, the San Antonio Brahmas, which they're again I mentioned they're playing the Alamo Dome. You mentioned they're playing at the Alamo Dome, and this was home to the former Spring League team, the AAF, and the San Antonio Commanders. Obviously, the San Antonio Spurs. I think at one point it was a soccer team that played at Arlington Stadium. I I think so, but I gotta look up more. But I just recall that Choctaw Stadium is home to the Renegades and a rugby team. That's what I heard, but I'll check more into it in a moment. And then you had but with San Antonio Brahmas, they're playing the Alamo Dome. This was home to a former Spring League team as well in the San Antonio Commanders, and that was a team I rooted for back in 2019 when they were going 5-2 and looking like, hey, they're gonna might end up going to the playoffs. But then, uh, Canadian football team played at Dome back in the day. I actually gotta look this up now. Now this is piquing my interest. The San Antonio Texans. What in the world am I seeing here? And they were technically in Sacramento. What is that? Is wow. I would. I just feel like that's just equivalent to like the NBA hosting a Toronto NBA and MLB team hosting the Toronto team as a part of their American sports. Yeah, my mind is kind of blown. But San Antonio Texans, wow. But yeah, but hopefully, but and finally you have the St. Louis Battlehawks. Like I mentioned, they're playing at the Dome as the American Center, or formerly known as the Edward Jones Dome. You formerly home of the St. Louis Rams, but Kroenke, basically fucked them over. screwed them over. Wait, screwed them over, and uh, they're now in LA once again, and so on, so forth. But yeah, but overall, yeah, that's all the stadiums there. They find at least that's one thing great about the UFL. At least everyone's at least gonna get a home stadium. So we'll go on from there. There was a bee there trying to sting me. Sting me or something. But uh but otherwise, yeah. At least I'm excited that everyone's at least gonna play at a home stadium, unlike in 2020. Unlike in 2020. Unlike in the USL with the hubs. But I mean, do what you got to take in order to at least see these teams play. But you know what? I'm gonna sign off here. This was a great overall experience. I'm excited for the UFL, and hope to see y'all. Hope to see y'all watch these games this weekend, and hopefully I can see you next time. I'm not sure when I'll be doing this. I'm most likely just leaning towards April 13th for the home opener. But yeah, but have a good week. Have a good day, everybody. And I'm gonna sign off.